Hey, Ken's got fire and a wild hot take. Hey, Andrew's stats make the whole place shake. Hey, laughing loud when your team goes down. Hey, Straub boys run this sports town. Show. Sundays, Mondays, we live for the fight. Hey, college game day and Thursday night. Hey, rivals fall and the banter flies. Hey, we bleed our teams till the day we die. Hey, S-T-R-A-U-E, two loud mouths and a love for the league. From Cleveland roots to the world we go. This is the Straub Bro Sports Show.
Welcome back to the Straub Bro Sports Show. Big bro Ken tapping in finally with my little bro again. And bro, I don't know how Batman and Superman feel when they take a week off, but man, my theme song got me feeling froggy. I'm ready to go. Shout out to everybody who's tapping in already. My guy, Morgan, set an alarm. I appreciate you. Your alarm was going off, unfortunately, last week with no show. Mama, we back in. Pops, we back in. My guy, Ray, we back in. You already know it. Welcome, everybody, to the Straub Bro Sports Show. Bro, how we doing?
I will say, for how long it's been, one thing has not changed since we left. It's cold.
Man.
It's so cold outside.
Man. It is it's negative out here in the good old state of Ohio. No school today for the kiddos, so no work today for dad. Hanging out. Had a good time. Lots of Ninja Turtles were played. But we got a lot to talk about. We missed a lot. We'll incrementally sprinkle in some of the things that we missed to talk about, but we're not going to dive back 2 weeks and head in. We're going to talk about just last night alone. The college football playoff national championship game. And Drew, it was amazing. Indiana completes the dream season 16-0 with a 27-21 victory over Miami. The first thing we're going to do, and I'm going to do it myself, is congratulate this University of Miami team. They belonged in the college football playoffs. I can say and I can complain and I can do all that I want and say how I would have fared. At the end of the day, Miami got the job done all the way up until the very end. They played a great game. They had opportunities. Shout out to the Indiana defense, but Miami belonged there. Miami deserved to be there. However, Drew, or do you want to start with Miami first?
No, we can do whatever we like.
However, Fernando Mendoza, Kurt Cignetti, this Indiana Hoosiers team, they were tested and they responded. And it was the beautiful cap to a perfect season, a great season. They have to be considered in one of the greatest greatest college football teams of all time. I don't care where you want to put them in the rankings. They're in the discussion. In the modern era of college football, with how much harder it is, with how much open it is, yeah, they belong there, and it was a great game and a great statement to bid our cat farewell to the college football season.
No, you're absolutely right. I think this game truly lived up to the hype that it kind of built up over the past couple weeks, which sometimes it doesn't, but I'm so glad it did. This game started off slow, but not in the Miami A&M type of slow. It was slow because the defenses actually stepped up and played. Listen, Pons, number 5 for Indiana, I don't care where he's projected to be drafted. I want him in the draft. That man, we'll talk draft later. I want him That man made play after play after play. Absolutely fantastic. I love the defensive effort there. And then as Miami kept scoring and kept keeping it close and keeping with one possession, where if Indiana punts on a drive or they don't get a touchdown on a drive, they have more than opportunity to get back in this game. Indiana did not blink. Third down conversions, fourth down conversions. I can't think of his name. 80, the receiver. I know it, but whatever. Two incredible catches on fourth down to keep the drives going. Absolutely amazing. And obviously, we can't talk about this game without talking about just the cojones to run a draw play with Fernando Mendoza on a 4th and 5, and for him to keep his balance and dive into the end zone in what is probably one of the most iconic moments in CFB history so far. And then, finally, when I disagreed with Cignetti in kicking a field goal to only go up 6, when you've been amazing on 3rd and 4th down all game, a little bit of irony in the last drive as Carson Beck, a quarterback who all season has kind of blamed some of his stuff, some of his players in interviews, really looked just upset and disappointed and angry at his teammates during this game, especially, cost his team a national championship with an interception.
Ooh, that's tough.
With a great play by the Indiana defense. I think this Indiana team deserved to win by how they played, and I think that ending play showed exactly why, because in games that a team is supposed to win because of how well they played, sometimes they don't. Indiana was making sure they weren't one of the teams that didn't win when they were supposed to.
They would respond when it mattered. The only time they didn't was that very last drive when some uncharacteristic penalties cost them and gave Miami the chance. First thing, I want to highlight that. Absolutely. Shout out to Lee Corso, who former coach at Indiana. So absolutely made Indiana proud. Raptors owner and my guy and my Oos, Daniel Demand in the building. Appreciate you as always, Oos. Miami's defense did what we have championed it being able to do all year long. Put pressure on the quarterback with 4 guys and allow the rest of the guys to play behind it. And it absolutely was a great game. Shout out to Bobby Rose Jr. So that's what Miami's defense did. Miami's offense put up the 21 or so points that it was gonna put up. Malachi Fields is a monster as well. He's gonna be all right. Fernando Mendoza was, we all agree, well, maybe unless you're family of Diego Pavia, but we all agreed that Fernando Mendoza was the Heisman for the most part. He was missing that Heisman moment. He was missing that play that's going to get shown. Tebow with the bloody mouth and throwing the jump pass. Reggie Bush on a kick return. Vince Young reaching out the ball. Johnny Manziel's run against Alabama. On and on and on and on. Fernando was missing that play, and he got it. That was an amazing play to just break through. What I saw was a quarterback and a team, but specifically in Mendoza, what I saw was a guy who said, I am putting my life on the line tonight. I'm not losing this game. And they responded over and over and over again. Yes, they let Miami in the game, but at some point, I mean, and it got talked about before the game, and I don't put everything in it, but at the end of the day, when you talk about this Indiana team that didn't have any 5-star or 4-star recruits and this Miami team who does, well, that's why they scored 21 points, because still at the end of the day, they got 5-star recruits and these kids are good. But Indiana deserved it. They played like they deserved it. Cignetti is a monster to complete this journey and to complete with this team. I mean, 2 years ago, I'm sorry, not even 2 years ago. Yes, 2 years ago, this Indiana team was 1-8 in the Big Ten. Like, this is crazy turnaround. All love to them. And Indiana are the college football playoff champions. Anything last on the game? I want to touch on a point that I thought of and I want to bring up to you.
Yeah, hopefully this is the same point you have here, but it probably will be. As we kind of wrap this year up, I know we've been very critical of this, and I think there is still some tweaks to be made. But when the game was over and I got up to kind of just reset myself before I went to bed, I thought to myself, NIL and the transfer portal works. And it's something that we've ragged on. It's something that we think has to change, and I still think it does. But there is no conceivable way, I believe, that Indiana does what Indiana does this season without NIL and the transfer portal. And while I think that we have a long way to go before it's in a position where we can kind of let it do its own thing, I think this is a shining example of a team that when they have the ability to get players that they want from, maybe schools that don't want them anymore and pay them what they're owed and kind of work it that way, these are the results that can happen, and it doesn't have to be a blue blood.
May I reference my preseason predictions?
Well, you showed it in the middle of my point, so you might as well anyway.
Because it had to load, and then when it loaded, it showed up on the screen. I apologize for that. I wouldn't do that to you on purpose. This is what I was talking about. The parity is back in college football, is alive now in college football. The blue bloods are not just going to run away with it. It is funny. The teams that I have on this screen, Miami was up there, Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, like Notre Dame, and Notre Dame was up there, Michigan and Clemson, obviously up and down years. But yeah, you're 100% correct, and I nailed that prediction. NIL in the transfer portal, while you could not be more correct as well. We absolutely need to tinker with it. We got to move some date. We got to change it a little. But it is allowed schools like Indiana. It is allowed schools like Vanderbilt to be good and to have a shot, like you said. And I 100% agree. No, I have a different point or a different question. Curt Cignetti is a great coach. Okay. I could argue going into next year, I would rather be Mario Cristobal in Miami than Curt Cignetti in Indiana, because all Miami really truly needs to do, now we've been talking about this with Miami for years, but they hit it. All they have to do is get another quarterback in there, and they're making another run. Indiana has to overhaul a lot. And I also found it funny that Fernando Mendoza's brother is now transferring out
to Georgia Tech officially.
Yeah. Okay, Georgia Tech officially. Georgia Tech was the highest on the list there, but Cignetti has a lot to work to do now at Indiana, and I'm not saying he can't, but now, and this reminds me of a little bit with Clemson and even Notre Dame. You're good now. You don't sneak up on anybody anymore. You were able to the first, well, nobody believed in you at all the first year. You made people believe this year. Now, what do you do when the target's on your back? Not to downplay their season at all, but
no, I think you're absolutely right, because I think, and obviously we're going to get into this, next fall when we start bringing up stuff like this, but a university and a program like Miami has been established and built over the decades as a destination school for a lot of this top talent. Miami is just a bigger hub for football talent in general than Indiana, and so you're just going to get it more naturally. But also, when you kind of look at it, and this kind of brings back to my point, right? Let's say this Indiana team did this 10 years ago. it would be much harder for this team to stay where they are because they have to re-recruit. They have to redevelop these guys. And some of these guys aren't because they don't think that they can go somewhere else, aren't going to go there anymore. And so while I do believe it's harder, and I do believe that Miami, I think next year is going to have a much softer decline, maybe even a greater rise, especially because Indiana did not play Ohio State this year, did not play Michigan. The Penn State team wasn't as good. They're not going to drop as hard as I think other teams might have done before the NIL and the transfer portal. But I do agree with you that I think Miami has the better outlook, even though they lost.
I was kind of taking a look at some of my other preseason predictions. Definitely nailed the freshman quarterback thing. I think I definitely have to give myself I didn't load it. I apologize. Some credit on that one. Also, ACC, not a bad conference this year. Nebraska, we'll just keep it moving because that you were, yeah. I will say, I'll give myself because I'll take my L. Nebraska, not back at all. Two of the teams that I gave you that would be have won 2 of the last 3 national championships in Miami and Michigan. So, hey, we know a little bit of what we're talking about here on the Straub World Sports Show. Do you have anything else on the game?
I mean, not about the game, but I think this is an amazing year of college football.
Yeah, sour ending for me.
It's sure, whatever. I don't care. But I think that I hope that your parity, prediction isn't just a 1 year, like a 1 year off kind of thing. I hope this continues because I truly enjoyed seeing Indiana, Illinois, Vanderbilt, all these teams stay as good as they were year to year because they're building through the portal and they're building through this way. I truly hope so because I found it much more fun than watching LSU, Oklahoma, Ohio State, and Alabama and Georgia all in the top 5 every year. It was very nice to see a difference.
Yes and no. I think this is going to open it up continually. I mean, not everybody's got a Kurt Signetti. Not everybody has a Fernando Mendoza. But now when you get one, when you have that lightning in the bottle, you can hit pay dirt now. The road is clear for you now. Now, I have to look at all the transfers and the portals when all of that stuff opens. But be careful now, Indianas, because the Ohio States and the Michigans and the Alabamas and the Georgias are going to go, oh, okay, all right, fine. And they're going to dip into the resources that are unlimited. So, parity will always be around. These teams will always be good. But, hey, at the end of the day.
Mark Cuban. They're fine.
Right. That's a lot of money, too. Yeah. All right. That puts a bow and a wrap on the college football season one last time. Liar. It's college basketball season. I'll be pulling that out way, 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 way more. Which, to let the people
just for
know.
Women's.
Yes. Yes. Thursday, we will have basically a NFL preview for the conference championships, and we're going to hit hard on some NBA and college basketball, men and women's. I'm going to debut whatever I'm calling, whatever I'm going to do.
It's going to be great.
Absolutely. Yes to what we talked about pre-show.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So with that being said, goodbye college football. Let's get to the NFL. Now, we missed wild card weekend.
I'm going to throw the scores up real quick. Is there any game or anything you want to talk about really quickly before I move to the divisional games?
Haha Packers, haha Eagles. For the Eagles, yeah, like duh. I'm not surprised there at all. For the Packers, that was surprising. Caleb Williams, we're going to talk about him more, so we can just kind of continue into last week because I'm going to talk about Caleb Williams for a while. The Carolina Panthers, you may have you may have a little something there. I'm gonna give you credit. They played better in the playoffs than I thought they would. I thought LA would just roll over them, and they didn't. Carolina hung in there and made a game of that. Goodbye, Aaron Rodgers, I guess would be the bigger point.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think Carolina and Jacksonville, I think, played their hearts out. I think they just came up against two teams that have been there before, and they played it perfectly. I called Pittsburgh getting blown out in the playoffs in the first round again.
Me too. We all called that.
But I honestly, I think the Chargers were the most disappointing team there because you can't only score 3 points in a wild card game. That's just unacceptable.
I don't know if Justin Herbert's good, and I don't know if John Harbaugh can coach anymore. Jim Harbaugh.
We'll see.
I'm confused now. So, all right. The two quarterbacks that I want to talk about most from Wild Card Weekend, I get to talk about in this week's game. So you can roll us forward. The NFL divisional round. We'll start at the top. Bills over Broncos over Bills. Josh Allen put that team on its back for 2 rounds and just came up short. I mean, I know the bigger news coming out of this is Bo Nix shattering his ankle and being out for the rest of the season. We'll talk about that in depth on Thursday when we talk about Jarrett Stidham and what that offense can do. But let's talk about this game. Really bad call. I believe on the interception. Ooh. Yeah. I think we'll agree.
We're gonna disagree on that one.
That's fine. Tie goes to the runner. It always has. So I'm going with consistency. So I believe that should have been a different call. This Bills team, we talked about it before the playoffs. They needed it, and they had the path that was there. I mean, this Broncos team was beatable. The defense wasn't playing as lights out as it's been. There were opportunities there, and I know we'll talk about all the coaching stuff that has happened here after this, but at some point I got to look at the roster construction of this team and just say, you didn't do this right. Yes, you got James Cook, and he's amazing, and he's a great running back. And you have Josh Allen, who's an MVP, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But that's all you have. And that's not good enough. So I was disappointed. I wanted to see this Bills team win. I was disappointed. I'm even more disappointed that we don't get the conference championship game as good of a game as we should have with Bo Nix. But I'm disappointed in this Bills team.
No, and I think you have every right to be. Yeah. Follow in Ray's footsteps and tell me, put in the chat if you guys think it was a catch or an interception. Personally, that's exactly my point there is if he hits and the ball flies out, he didn't survive the catch. He didn't survive the catch in this instance, in my opinion, but we'll agree to disagree there. No, but I think you're absolutely right. And I think that's exactly what the Bills upper management is thinking, where this team, while we can all agree, got very unlucky that they came across a dynasty in the Chiefs, has not kept that level of play and that level of talent since they got there in the first place. Now, I understand you had to pay Josh Allen, you had to pay James Cook. You got to pay people. I get that. Mm-hmm. However, the defense has greatly fallen, which that was a staple even before Josh Allen got there. And now you have reduced your receiving core. I know there were some injuries, but you've reduced your receiving core to a couple of wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3s, and some tight ends. And so I reading into an article, that was, I think, a big key, which actually may be bad for Buffalo here, where Sean McDermott was very critical of this roster composition, and this would potentially led to his firing. And so I want to say that Sean McDermott getting let go may be the spark that they need to kind of get some guys and get some play calling in. But it truly sounds like it's more of a roster construction issue, and that may fall on the GM, which they still have kept. So tough for Josh Allen. I will say he did kind of dig them a hole that he did himself climbed out of and then got unlucky at the end. However, it doesn't seem like this Buffalo team, unless they nail it in the draft, is going to do anything in terms of a massive overall to help him get to where he needs to be to get this team to a Super Bowl.
and obviously they fired McDermott. People were critical of him all year. People were critical of him last year. People were critical of him the year before. So I'm not gonna say it was unfair. More just time. The problem is, I just think it's just run its course. That window of that team construction like that is
which
closed.
is a theme. Which
Right.
is a theme this year, honestly.
Yeah, very much so. And we'll talk more about that. I kind of this point here. My problem with that comparison is they're not the same type of quarterback. Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are very similar. The difference between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen is Josh Allen throws the ball 300 miles an hour. Lamar Jackson only throws it like 150. So Josh Allen is able to fit the ball into some tighter windows. He's still not a great pocket passer. He doesn't have great touch on his throws. So at their best, they're not going to compare the same because Flacco's a pocket passer who, when he was on fire, led a team to a Super Bowl. Just walked them there himself. That defense helped, but that
Hall of Fame defense.
But that offense is severely underrated because of what that defense did. Joe Flacco
you had a prime Anquan Bolden, a prime Ray Rice, a prime I think Mark Andrews was a rookie or 1 or 2 year tight end at the time. And he just had to become the ultimate game manager, which he did, and he was amazing at it.
But even beyond game manager, Joe Flacco used to sling that thing around. But
absolutely.
Josh Allen did it differently. And listen, he was dragging that team. I mean, he dragged that team through the wild card game himself, banged up and hurt. I think the ankle's going to need surgery.
It's going to get announced this week.
He dragged them almost to victory against Denver. I mean, there's only so much he could do. I don't agree with the roster construction. At the same time, hey, I know guys want to get paid, and I know not everybody has big endorsement deals, but you take those big contracts, you know where it's going to be depleted. You know what's going to happen. And then when you pay James Cook, that's even less money. I mean, I don't want to make it personal, but like that's we got all this money into Dak and CD, and there's only so much money that can go around. It happens to every team. If your quarterback doesn't take a team-friendly deal, you're going to get hit like this. So I don't know if Josh can do some restructuring to kind of free up some money for them. I'm not sure. I don't know if he wants to. I don't know. But disappointing.
I think you're absolutely right. Well, speaking of disappointing, woof.
I got to say haha to the Eagles, one of the teams I hate the most. I get to say haha to a second team that I hate just as much, the San Francisco 49ers. They were beat up on defense. So I'm gonna praise
Kittle was out.
Right. I'm gonna praise Seattle. However, facts are facts. Kittle's out. This defense has been decimated. However, this Seattle defense is completely suffocating. Mm-hmm. And when you allow, and when we talked about this, when you don't have a great defense, Sam Darnold can put 41 points on you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I think this is a very big factor of a good defense can beat a good offense. A bad defense can't beat anybody. And so the thing is here is, yes, we absolutely agree that San Francisco is hurt. They've been hurt for 3 years. Like, I feel like every year we come up with this thing where, yeah, San Francisco is hurt. They ran out of gas. Yeah, something's got to change then. Yeah, is it a team doctor that's, not rehabbing them right? Is it the style of play that the coach is calling is too intense on the muscles? Something's going on. And I think that needs to be a big discussion coming into the season, because I feel like every year San Francisco gets somewhere in the playoffs or just misses or makes the Super Bowl but doesn't win it. And we go, well, they had 3 guys hurt. They have 3 guys hurt every year. This Seattle team is just as physical, if not more. They absolutely destroyed them, and they were healthy for the majority of the year, for the entire team. So props to San Francisco for dealing with those injuries and getting them through. But at the end of the day, this is all you're gonna amount to if you keep stacking injuries when you come into the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I don't disagree with you. Man, the Seattle defense is physical. Now we'll talk about it Thursday. They're gonna be tested, but they have a formula that's working right now. The the well, the hardest part for them is if they are to get through, whoever is waiting for them on the other side is the best defense that they're going to see so far. So that's where Sam Darnold will finally be tested. I mean, I can't say anything more. I mean, the running game is on fire for them. Both Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet look sharp. It's working. So as long as Sam Darnold is able to make people believe he's going to test them down the field, it's going to open up those running lanes, and Seattle's going to be able to run the ball. And I know that almost sounds like a backhanded compliment, but I've watched enough football from Sam Darnold to know what his strengths and his weaknesses are. And if you are allowing him to torch your defense, he's going to torch your defense. When you don't allow him to anymore and you put some pressure on him and you make him think too much, you're going to beat Seattle. San Francisco wasn't good enough to do that.
Absolutely.
We'll get to I guess my second favorite team they were my second favorite team before they were replaced, but Drake May and the New England Patriots 28-16 over the Houston Texans. Drew, I feel like, and I know some people have been critical of him, but I kind of feel like CJ Stroud gets a pass for the fact that man has been mid a lot when it matters.
I think, well, correct. The issue is that he was not mid this game. He was downright awful, and he lost them this game. There was a time in the middle of the second quarter that I thought to myself, I would not be upset at all for the Texans if they put in Davis Mills, because the issue is the Texans defense was doing amazing in the first half. They were stopping them. They were committing. They were causing turnovers. They were getting Houston in good position. CJ Stroud was just throwing the ball to the defense every single time. And it's not like it was, the one was a tip off the hands interception, but that was still even high. One of them was a massive overthrow that they picked off. The other one, he got hit when he tried to make a throw that he really shouldn't have even tried to even wind up to make. He should have just went down. And then there was multiple times where he almost got picked off for a fifth, sixth, seventh time.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like CJ Stroud can't reset himself in stuff like this, where he makes a mistake and he lets it get in his head and he just compounds and compounds and forces and forces and forces. And when you are in playoff type situations, especially against a defense like this, where they're going to cause a turnover, it's going to happen. You have to reset. And this happened last year and this happened in year one with CJ Stroud. We're not making the adjustments year to year. We're not getting better at limiting mistakes and not compounding them. And if I'm the Texans, I'm telling myself, this kid is great. This kid has all the talents in the world, but we have to figure out a way to just settle him down. And I don't know whether that's more veteran leadership, whether that's bringing in a coach like on the offense or the quarterback room that's going to, settle him down, or what, because this is a very talented team. This defense is coached to perfection. This receiving core, when healthy, is fantastic. They just need a running back. If CJ Stroud can figure it out, this is an AFC championship level team.
100%. I'll touch on the last point first. If they get the running game fixed, this game could have been closer.
For sure.
He still would have made the mistakes. It's Baker Mayfield, but even better. And I'm not talking about the skill set. I'm talking about when it is good for CJ Stroud, it's great. Okay. Yeah. Like there's no, and mid was the wrong choice. Jordan Love is mid because Jordan Love is kind of just in the middle and he floats up and down. CJ Stroud is a roller coaster. because when it is up, it is great. It is MVP level. It is Houston's going to run away with the AFC. When it is bad, it is 1 in 15 bad. It is
Yeah.
or it is 2 and whatever. It loses you games. It completely takes you out of games. And you're right. I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know what it is, but they have to try to figure this out because unlike a Baker Mayfield and I know nobody would say this yet about Jordan Love, but I'll put him in that category. Yes, the talent is there, but sometimes the ups aren't good enough. The ups are good enough to get you into the divisional round of the playoffs. Kind of no problem. The problem is the downs don't even allow you to be in the game. So they've got to figure something out because, like you said, that defense is lights out. When you leave them on the field for 4 quarters, eventually Drake May is going to figure them out. And that's what happened late on, well, from the third on. But if you can get this figured out, it's there.
Yeah.
But can it be figured out? Is this just who he is? Is he Jameis on steroids, where it's great and then it's awful? Like I don't know. And maybe a better running game can help you manage that to take him out of those down situations when you see it's not going well. We can hand it off to somebody 3-4 times in a row, then have him just make a play action, make a little dump out throw, lead a drive like that. Maybe that can help, but I'm not sure if that's the complete fix.
And honestly, I'm truly thinking about it, and this could be a big fix for them. I don't believe CJ Stroud has had a veteran backup quarterback behind him since he's come into the league. I'm pretty sure it's just been Davis Mills behind him. And so, honestly, it could be as simple as a fix of grabbing a Joe Flacco or grabbing a veteran quarterback that during the offseason, all they do is just, hey, look at film and go, hey, this is when you make an interception, look at your feet, look at how you're moving in the pocket, and just settling him down and ensuring that that's what it is. Because don't get me wrong, this team is talented. It's also insanely young.
Yes.
And so the issue doesn't just stem from CJ Stroud. It extends to there's nobody truly, even the head coach, there's no one truly around him that has been there before that can say the right thing to get him back into motion. And maybe that's all they need.
Veteran backup, a running game, easier fixes. I mean, those are easy fixes. Well, one of them is a very easy fix. The second one is a decently easy fix. And maybe that's the thing. We tinker, we don't overhaul. That would be my key if I'm on the Texans side. For the New England Patriots, I mean, yeah, this defense is going to attack you. It's going to be turnover prone. Even when you're not giving them the ball, when you help them out, they're going to dominate. And Drake May, first time in the playoffs, is figuring out how to figure out your defense.
I agree. However, this was very telling, I think, to me, because if Drake May and the Patriots come up against a team that has a really solid defense, but can limit turnovers on the other end and control the ball, they're in trouble. Now, we're going to talk about it. Obviously, the Broncos would have been the perfect matchup with Bo Nix. However, Sean Payton's been there before. He knows what to do. So I'm not completely ruling out the Broncos, but we'll talk about it on Thursday.
Just remember, the reason he didn't want Russell Wilson and played Jared Stidham was because he wanted his quarterback that fit his system. That was Bo Nix, younger, super talented, higher ceiling. Stidham is still there on the team because Sean Payton believes he can still run his offense. So, yes, I mean, obviously, the X factor that is what Bo Nix can do isn't the same as Stidham, but it's still the styles make fights, especially in the playoffs. And this style of play is a weakness for New England. Like you said, we'll talk more about it Thursday, but that would be what the key would be there for. Let's get to the last one. Rams 20, Bears 17. I feel like we've spent a lot of time talking about the losing teams, and I'm not going to break that streak here. Caleb Williams is great. I know he's young and he makes young mistakes, but that throw to tie the game with no time left is one of the greatest football throws you will ever see in your life. I don't care how you feel about a push off or not. To backpedal like that, throwing off your back foot, like falling backwards, and to throw a dart into the end zone like that, nothing short of amazing. Chicago, you've got it. The what I felt about Carolina is on steroids for the Bears. You've got a quarterback. He's got weapons. Yeah, DJ Moore was disappointing on the last play of the game, not even turning his head and looking for the ball. But you've got the pieces in place. The defense is good. It only gave up 20 points to this Rams offense, which is high powered as hell. You have it all there. This is a learning block. Don't get your quarterback killed like Washington did all of this year, and they could have been here too. Because this is what we talked about for Washington. You had your growing pains last year. You're starting to figure things out. That's a hell of a quarterback.
I agree. However, and I'm going to kind of use your point against you. This Bears team is very much up and coming, rising. The Rams are there.
Yes.
And that's the difference, because the Rams didn't turn the ball over once. They made, regardless how many you're going to put on Caleb Williams, they made him throw 3 interceptions. They used the clock to perfection to get this win. And at the end of the day, teams that are there know how to win, even when, there's ups and downs to games. Where Chicago, they let some of those mistakes turn into the benefit of the other team. And so while I love this Bears team, and I think that I was just talking about this to someone, this is the first time I think a Chicago team doesn't need to take a look in the mirror and see, what identity it wants to be, because it hasn't. It just needs to fill guys that fit that identity now. Yep. This Rams team is there. They're ready. This is a team that, regardless of the talent gap in some areas and how, when they approach games, it is always going to be close, efficient, well-played football, because that is a Sean McVay run team. That is a Matthew Stafford run team. And that is what the Bears in a couple years should aspire to be when they are in that veteran era of their team.
I don't necessarily. I'm not giving a Super Bowl prediction, but that right there is why they won the game. They have a guy who's done it and has no fear, has absolutely no fear, and thrives on that moment as well.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we talked about him in Detroit this way. The team just wasn't good, but that man did everything he could to win those games, him and Calvin Johnson. But then even when Calvin retired, he did. Matthew Stafford is just flat out clutch. I mean, since I can argue that since Tom Brady retired, he's the most clutch quarterback in the NFL. You can put Mahomes up there too, but Matthew Stafford has to be right there. The man is clutch.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely agree.
The combination of him and McVay is lethal. It's why they've been good. It's why they've won one and then been on the doorstep to many others. Now, the another test on the road in bad weather, which we'll talk about Thursday, but they got a little bit of taste of that here. I want to point this out because the announcers pointed out, and it was funny. You talk about tortured fan bases. You usually talk about the Browns. You usually talk about the Dolphins. Those Bears fans absolutely lost their mind on that touchdown. Stadium shaking, or couldn't hear announcers, so loud. The Bears drive in overtime, and then when the Rams got the ball, you could have heard a pin drop in that entire stadium because they were just waiting for the bad thing to happen. and it did the interception, and then it happened, but you could just tell they were waiting, and it sucks because I like this Bears team a lot. For all the talk about this kid couldn't play quarterback because he painted his nails, I think y'all got some words to eat on that. But
yeah, Lil Wayne,
Matthew Stafford.
No, I think you're absolutely right. That's all they can say. Good for the Rams and Bears. You'll be back.
Absolutely. Well, you say that and then you don't come back. But as I said, Washington could have easily been there this year without killing their quarterback.
Maybe not next year, but in this regime, they'll be back.
100%. All right, Drew. As we said, we're going to talk about the games on Thursday. But before we get to that, let's play the Straub Sports Show coaching carousel, because there's been a lot of moving and shaking along the NFL. Ray dropped some breaking news in for the Brownies. Mike McDaniel's out on Brown's job. I would 100% hire Mike McDaniels to be my offensive coordinator.
Oh, absolutely.
After what I saw in Miami, I don't know if I'm ready to give him a head coaching job yet. Now, I don't know if he's interviewing for those offensive coordinator positions, but I don't think he's ready yet.
Again, I think you're absolutely right. And we're going to bring this up here. At some point, there were 10 head coaching vacancies, tied for the most amount in a single season. A lot of interesting ones, obviously, with, the Bills, the Steelers, and the Ravens being, long-term head coaches, coming to up. But obviously a lot of recent head coaches also getting fired. We had some vacancies filled. Obviously, I'm just rolling through.
Go ahead. I don't want to go in depth before we talk about one specifically, but go ahead.
No, the Giants signing John Harbaugh, the Atlanta hiring the Browns ex-coach Kevin Stefanski, Miami, an interesting move, hiring Jeff Hafley, and Tennessee with a good hire, in my opinion, hiring Robert Saleh today. And then as you can see below, these are the coaches that have interviewed for the head coaching job of 4+ teams. So hot commodities around the league.
So before we talk, this is amazing, by the way. Well done by you. Before we talk about this, I want to talk about one of the ones at the top, and that is Mike Tomlin. We talked about John Harbaugh being fired the last time we were here.
He's the reason I put parted ways. He's the only one that didn't get fired.
Right. They both did each other a friendly deal there. The Steelers, as I said, we talked about John Harbaugh. The Mike Tomlin news broke while we were off last week. Mike Tomlin stepped away after, was it 17 years with the Pittsburgh Steelers? A lot of people have said a lot of things about this, whether or not it was his choice or not. I truly believe he stepped away because it just became too much. Like it was coming to an end. That same team, that same group, we keep trying to fill the quarterback. And I think he was tired out. I think he was burnt out. It happens to coaches. 99.99% of the time, 10 years earlier than it happened to Mike Tomlin. I think he did Pittsburgh a service by resigning, because now Pittsburgh is going to get a draft pick unless Mike Tomlin sits out for multiple years, which I really, truly don't think he will. I know he's going to sit out this year, might do some TV. I think that's great for him. 19 years. Thank you, Mom. That's a long time. Okay. No offense. Some marriages don't last that long. I think it was time to step away. He got calls the next day within hours. Sure. And I would take him in a heartbeat. I think there are only 2 or 3 coaches in the NFL that are actually better than Mike Tomlin. So that's huge. You're not going to fill those shoes. Sorry, Steelers fans. Welcome to the coaching carousel for the next couple of years. Unless you get extremely lucky again, which I wouldn't put it past them because of the type of organization that they are. But salute to Mike Tomlin, man. Give this man his flowers. That's not a good coach. That's a great coach. And I think he'll be. I I pray he follows my dream, which is for him to just go chill for a year and then go to college, where I think he would be outstanding and I think he'd win a national championship in like 2 or 3 years. But somebody's going to be lucky to pick up Mike Tomlin.
I think you're absolutely right. I think the thing I wanted to hit on is that I think we're in an era currently in this year specifically where teams are seeing the success that a young head coach can do with you. You know, look at Jacksonville, look at Chicago, look at numerous other teams. And they see situations where their head coach has been there 5+ years, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, even the Browns in some sense, where whether it's the coach's decision or management decision of saying this is going stale. The players are hearing the same messages over and over again. They're not getting as motivated as, they once were. The results aren't getting better. And whether you want to put that as a GM problem or a head coaching problem, at the end of the day, there's one person that coaches the team, and that's the head coach. And so it doesn't surprise me that those moves happened. It's one of those things where you don't want to just ride the wave of the young head coach.
Right. Don't ride, create your own.
A shameless plug. Where it happened previous years ago where McVay's anyone who was related or had like smelled McVay was getting some sort of interview. And so I'm sure that a lot of these teams are going to get good head coaches and they're going to become successful, but there's going to be some teams that didn't really have a plan other than we want a new, young, fresh head coach. And I that's something to look at and see, because you look at some of the coordinators that other teams that aren't on this list have interviewed, and they're like the only one to get an interview with that team. And so you really got to kind of look and see where this direction of this team is looking at.
I think. Okay, are you good? I agree with you. I want to give a shout out to your Browns in a second. I think the 2 best jobs on that list are currently filled. I think the Giants job was clear above and beyond the best job there. You have a quarterback, you have a wide receiver, you have a running back. Yes, 2 of those 3 need to come back and they need to rehab and they need to get better, or they need to come back from being injured. But the building blocks are there 100%. I think the second best job on that list is Atlanta by far. I really like the John Harbaugh hire. Mm-hmm. I think he's great for New York. I also, and I know this is going to sound crazy, I am really happy that the Browns moved on from Kevin Stefanski. I don't actually think it's a bad hire for Atlanta. I think there was complete there was complete dysfunction in Cleveland. I think
shocker.
But there's less dysfunction in Atlanta. And remember, now I don't know exactly what they're going to do with Kirk Cousins in Michael Penix Jr. What I do know is the Browns tried to sign Kirk Cousins when Kevin Stefanski was there. Kevin Stefanski wanted to work with Kirk Cousins. So at least in that Atlanta job, and what we saw with Stefanski, and the only thing I'll give him credit for, when he had the quarterback in that he wanted, not Dylan Gabriel, that offense looked good. When he tried to use everyone else, it looked very, very bad, including the guy he drafted. So maybe that can give them hope. But Atlanta has, with Bijan Robinson, with Drake London, with all of those wide receiver, or with all of that skill set there, I think that could be a good hire. And I agree with you. I absolutely love the Titans hiring Robert Saleh. I think that's a great hire. I don't know anything about Jeff Hafley, so I can't even give you an opinion there. I will also say this. I also don't believe the Cleveland Browns are on the bottom of that job list. I don't think Miami is a good job other than it being
Arizona.
75 every day. Absolutely. And I don't think Arizona is a good pick. And the
I don't
only
think
reason
Pittsburgh's early.
I don't think Pittsburgh is a great job. And the only reason Oakland is above you is because they have the number 1 pick. If they didn't have the number 1 pick, I would not say that Oakland is a better job. I would rather take the defense that I have in Cleveland. I'd rather keep Jeff Schwartz as my defensive coordinator. And I would rather figure out what we're going to do at quarterback and get some talent, either some talent around Shador, or maybe we go reach on somebody in the draft in that top 5 and we start it over. But I would take that Cleveland job over most of them. So that's a step in the right direction, because normally it's we have a new coach every year and nobody wants this job. Well, you gave Stefanski some time. So the next guy coming in knows I'm not one and done here.
No, I think you're right. The issue is he was the only one to really get that time, and that's because he immediately had success.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll see what happens. I think I'm happy they're doing their due diligence.
Who do you want?
Jesus, who do I want? I want to keep
Is it anyone on that list?
No, I want to keep Jim Schwartz no matter what it is. If he is willing to be defensive coordinator, hire the coach you like that wants to keep him as defensive coordinator. If he will only take the head coaching job, I think he's deserved another shot as a head coach.
I agree. Jim Schwartz deserves a shot. Some guys are just meant to be coordinators too. So
I agree. It just depends on how he's feeling, honestly.
I will give the Cleveland Browns credit. Every single person that has interviewed for the Cleveland Browns job has been told, hold on.
I will block you. I will block you.
Hold on. Everyone has been told, if you take this job, Jim Schwartz is your defensive coordinator. So that's been a package deal, which is great. Don't mess that up. If I'm the Cleveland Browns, I want someone in the middle. I don't want another young guy, but I also don't want somebody who's on the outer rim. So maybe Clint Kubiak, maybe Matt Nagy, maybe a veteran guy. I think maybe Kubiak. You're rolling the dice and you're gambling on any of these coordinators. I can't give you an opinion on any of these coordinators because I just don't. They're coordinators. They're not head coaches yet. So
I think you're right. I think the only thing is we need an offensive-minded guy, right? So I will not watch my team. I truly will not watch my team because that will be the biggest circus I've ever seen in my life.
Reunite Dion and Shador. That's the last time he was good on a football field.
Him and his dumb cowboy hat.
I love it.
Well, my only thing is, if you're not going to hire Jim Schwartz, you need an offensive-minded head coach because then he's there. Jim Schwartz is there to run the defense. Get an innovative offensive. I don't care about selling tickets. Win games. Win games. We'll sell tickets. We'll sell tickets.
You got a new stadium to fund. Now that my man Six is in the building, I do got a Six. What are you? Drop it in the comments for me. I want to know how you feel about the Kevin Stefanski hire. Like I said, I think it could work out. I think it could work. It also could fall apart just because he's not very good. But we'll see. All right, we're rolling through. One last one to go, and we got both Marzinskis in the building for it.
Ken, this is. I woke up to it truly. This is probably the most, not shocking, but the most Manchester United victory I've ever seen in my entire life. You are down. You look defeated. You bring in a caretaking head coach and don't get a new one. You get some AFCON players back, which is very, very good. And I'm going to talk about that in my outro.
And not just caretaker.
I know.
Well, no. Not just caretaker. We did what we always do, which is, hey, somebody who's played and was really good on our team when we were good, come coach our team now. We're not just caretaker, because that's not fair. You do the caretaker thing sometimes. Okay, we dip to the same well that we always go to. Hey, somebody who won a Premier League title in the 90s and the 2000s, come coach our team for a couple of weeks.
And Ken, it worked.
I know.
2-0 Manchester United over Manchester City. Sean, I hope, is in the building as he's going to be so salty as we talk about it. But Ken, congratulations, great victory. You dominated the entire game. It wasn't a lucky, you scored 2 on a break. You looked really good. Mm-hmm. Talk about the game, and then talk about obviously the notion of the post-firing boost that we always talk about. And is that the case here, do you think, or do you think this is something we can build off of?
Okay, let's talk game first. I mean, they're going to be intertwined, so I'm going to kind of piece them both together. Yes, and we've talked about it for the entire 3 years we've been doing this show when we've talked about footy. Every team gets that boost when a new manager comes in, and Roy Keane kind of downplays it, and it's kind of funny because I kind of agree with him on it. Of course of course training was great. Of course everybody's happy. Of course, you know what I mean? Because there's somebody different. It's somebody new.
That hasn't lost a bunch of games yet.
True. The difference is this is the second time this has happened with Michael Carrick. In the first run with Michael Carrick, he drew with you, he beat Arsenal, and he beat Liverpool. We come in here, we beat Manchester City. So it isn't just that he's come in and give us the boost. He's coming and beating teams that we have to beat. So that is a little different. The difference between when Louis van Gaal got fired, when Ten Hag got fired, and when Ali got fired, the difference has been a lot of it was in the dressing room. Guys not playing to potential, and I'll be honest, guys not good enough to wear this badge. From the get-go, I bought into Ruben Amorim's different tactics, different formations, different way of running things. But what was clear to anyone who loves this team, watches this team, and clear to anyone who has knowledge of this game, the roster construction doesn't fit what he wanted to do. This is not a team that's meant to play at a back five. This is not a team that's meant to play with less guys in the middle helping. It's not how we should be playing. Michael Carrick comes in, 4 defenders in the back flat, 2 supporters in the midfield, let my attacking guys go attack. Moves in Bueno up top, where he featured very well for Brentford last year, not just playing in a winger or an advanced winger role. Put him up there because Sesko hasn't played well, and it paid off. Now, yes, some of it's a boost, but some of it is finally just going, this is what I've got, and this is what I need to play.
No, you're absolutely right.
And there's also an emphasis on playing that Manchester United style, and this is where you can argue till the cows come home. There are only certain teams that the fans and the hierarchy expect them to play a certain way. That is Real Madrid, that is Barcelona, and that is Manchester United. We are expected to play attacking front foot football, and we haven't done that for years now. Now, the only difference is on the other side with those other 2 teams, they'll just fire you halfway through the season of your first year if you're not playing that way. And we will force the coach to play that way. So in Real Madrid playing with stars, Barcelona playing that attacking style, it's what is expected at Manchester United. And that's what Michael Carrick is preaching to them. And that's what got it done.
I agree. And I'm going to respond to this for you. I could get behind this if you won either game,
right?
Because listen, if let's say you lose to United at the weekend, but you beat Bodo Glimt today, I can go, you know what? You were more focused on securing Champions League, in there. It's fair. You took United a little too lightly, sure. Or you beat United at the weekend, but you lose to Bodo Glimt in the midweek. I go, you know what? You really cared about the derby. You took Bodo Glimt a little too lightly, and they beat you. You lost both. How are you going to say that this schedule is so hard for you and da-da-da-da? if you can't win any of them. If it's too hard, go out of the tournament. That's what you know what I mean? That's what it is. And so, congrats to you, Sean. Quit being a whiner, baby. Win some games. And third, I also had a victory this weekend. The first Premier League victory of one.
Not a red card.
Yes, but of one Liam Rosenwa as in his tenure. Not a great game, if I'm being honest. However, Brentford has played really well lately. They are technically ahead of us they were ahead of us in the table. A team that usually doesn't make mistakes, but when they did this time, we capitalized on the mistakes. And Sean, sure,
he's right.
But I did not lose to a Norwegian team today, and so you have no room to talk whatsoever. I don't care.
Back on track.
They're also not top of the Norwegian league this year, so
back on track.
I don't even want to hear it. No, it was an okay win. You got to build on it, and just early stages of a new manager is always going to kind of just be, how are the players going to adjust to the new system? That's and the fact that we're winning while doing so is an additive.
Now here's the question for you, bigger picture, long term, and Sean kind of brought it up in a funny sense. So all talks at Manchester United are Michael Carrick is only there till the end of the year, and then they're going to get a top manager. I don't know. Talk to me towards the end of the year when we get closer to Champions League qualification, and I'll let you know how I feel about Michael Carrick, whether or not he should get a chance at the job. However, we're going to do this dumb coaching search. You've had more managers than Spurs has. You've had more managers than a lot of teams combined, okay, right, over the past couple of years. How long is this going to last?
And that's a very fair question. And that's why I don't, I'm not super...
That's why you're snappy at the jokes.
Not even snappy at the jokes, because I'm snappy at the jokes. I've heard them a million times. They do start to get old after a while. But no, this is something that as Chelsea fans, unfortunately, we know all too well, regardless if it's Blue Co or if it's Roman Abramovich. If you started to dip in results and you started to kind of fight with management, you were let go. Jose Mourinho did it with Abramovich. And then obviously Enzo Maresca is the latest example of that. The issue here,
the management is completely, or the ownership is completely different. The same rules apply, but the quality and the style are completely different.
I think you're absolutely right. But I think this is one of the things where, and this is also kind of reading into this. This is being very realistic with the scenario that Chelsea is in, where we are now getting into a world of football, right? Where we are not even close to the top spenders in all of world football. We're talking City, PSG, Real Madrid, United in a sense sometimes.
We just spend, they're not good.
And so the understanding of that and the transition of the Abramovich era of we're trying to get the best players, we are trying to build this team up for championships right now. Whatever happens, we'll buy more players later. As the money of other teams just continues to grow and grow and grow, even Newcastle, I forgot to mention them. It's becoming harder and harder to do things like that with the resources you have. And so you have to, at some point, invest in a youth movement like we have done. Now, do I fully agree with the approach that they take? No. I think that there needs to be more veterans in this team. I think that Blue Co at their strategy is better long term, but it is going to hurt when you have a lot of managers that don't agree with the way it's constructed and won't take the job. That was the biggest attraction to Chelsea, was we got the managers because we were able to spend for the players. But I think at the end of the day, the direction of this team makes sense for where we're at. The issue is you're going to run into this problem where you are going to have to bank on managers that are either very young and unproven, or managers that are truly okay with giving up a lot of responsibility just to coach in the Premier League with a top 5 team. And that's the reality.
And that concludes Chelsea talk with Andrew. That was great, but that was also wow. You're not wrong. I'm just you took my larger point and ran way further with it, which is not bad. I'm not criticizing you for it. I'm just saying that, but that's going to be the difference now is, yes, when Roman Abramovich was there, you didn't agree with ownership, you got sacked, but you also had one of the best teams. He'd write a check for whatever you needed. This Chelsea team kind of just, it's not the same, and the players that you're buying aren't the same. It's not the same, but don't start ranting again.
No, I just don't think you can do that anymore. Like, even if Abramovich owned the team, I still think we would run into the same problem.
I don't think there's any chance you would have the same amount of managers, though.
He went through a shit ton as well, so I can't even, whatever. Now, because again, it is the Straub Sports Show, our teams are also featured in the top fixtures of next week for this weekend. Ken, it does not get easier for you. Actually, it's significantly harder, as 1, you are playing away, and 2, you are playing a team that is the top of the division. How are we feeling? Arsenal can get scored on. I scored two at them on Wednesday, last Wednesday. They are beatable, but they're very tough to beat.
Listen, we're put the ball on the front foot. Let's go forward. Let's test this defense. And I mean, Kobe Mano has come alive under Michael Carrick. We'll see. As you mentioned it, we got a lot of the AFCON players back. And Buemo, obviously on the score sheet, making a big difference. And Dallo didn't have a bad game either. So he was very creative. He was threatening to Manchester City. So we got to just bring that same approach. And what I don't have to worry about, now, that doesn't mean we're going to go out and 2-0 on Arsenal. But what I don't have to worry about with Michael Carrick under control of this team, I know they're going to come out and try and play like that. They might get them beat, but I know they're going to come out and play like that. That was the problem with Ruben Amorim. I did not know what I was going to get. I know I'm getting that same Manchester United. It may not win us the game, but I know I'm going to get that team. So with that doesn't make me cocky. That makes me go, all right, come on.
And hey, that's all you can have. I'm not saying you're gonna win, but I like your chances of making this a game. And as for me, honestly, I think this is another test, because this is a trap game for a lot of young managers where they are the better team. Chelsea has the more talent. They're going to have a lot of possession, but don't get caught, because this Crystal Palace team is very, very good at taking that confidence that a team has and flipping it and now putting 2 on you in a matter of 30 minutes.
No, they did just lose their best world-class center back to Manchester City, which is
you're absolutely right. But they still have the quality. They still have the quality to get a good result out of this game if Chelsea doesn't take this game seriously and have this a legitimate contest in their schedule. So I think another test for Liam Rosenwatt to take it seriously.
I think it'll be a close contested game, but I think it'll be a close game, but I think it'll be a comfortable Chelsea victory. I don't see you dropping points to Crystal Palace. This is you being the pessimistic football fans that we are, which I respect, but I don't see that happening. Like I said, comfortable, but comfortable but close. I think you should see it out well. As for me, who knows? I'm going to try to make it up early enough to watch my game and not sleep in and then rewatch the game after it's over. Screaming in the car. Lastly, on the football end, I want to touch on it real quick. If you have, it may have made your rounds on social media. The final of the Afghan Cup between
Oh, that was
Nigeria and
gonna talk
Morocco.
about that.
Yeah,
Damn you.
just poor display of sportsmanship. Number one, by Nigeria for storming off the field, and number two, Senegal. I apologize. And number two, for the players on the Morocco team trying to steal the goalie's towel to the point where the backup goalkeeper had to stand behind the goal holding the towel, and there was actually like literally fights of them trying to take the towel from him. Just classless display. This is not what we want for our game.
No, I think the issue is you have a country that is growing in terms of, soccer and everything like that, but still holds on to a lot of the people call it gamesmanship, but a lot of the just kind of acts of just unsportsmanlikeness that we saw, back in the 60s and 70s and 80s and even 90s, where nothing you could get away with that stuff because it wasn't televised. You weren't getting, recorded on it. And I think it truly is up to the governing organization, AFCON and FIFA, to come down hard on things like this, to just completely stop it. Because when, to make an example, when Mexico was using that homophobic slur during the things, they came down hard on Mexico, and it's virtually unheard now, which is very, very good.
They started stopping games, which then threatened to take points away from Mexico as a federation and country, which threatened them to be able to qualify for competitions, which at the end of the day is what us fans want, which makes us fans then get in order.
Right. And so it sucks that it's a part of our game. Unfortunately, it's one of those things. And I think as the years go on and, the AFCON and African countries are more televised and the leagues are more televised and they have more eyes on them and people's dollars are at stake by how they act, things will eventually fix themselves. The issue is that until that happens, you're going to see stuff like that.
For my American fans, I'm going to use this term because this is the term we use in soccer. So when you hear this as an American sports fan, you're like, wait, what? I need some bans. I need every Moroccan player that was behind the goal that attacked the backup goalie, a year ban, goodbye. The coaching staff and the federation for who was the other team? Senegal, because I don't know why I called them Nigeria. That was the other issue. For Senegal, a ban for at least a year. I don't care if that takes you into the World Cup for taking the players off the field like that. Just hurt some pockets and sit some people in the stands for some games, and this will get fixed. And I know when people say a year, they think, why would you do a year? The international teams don't get together enough for you only to give them a certain amount of games or that. So you give them the year, you miss the whole year. So yeah, if that means you got to miss the World Cup, so be it. It's too bad. We've got to clean this up.
Yeah. No, you're right, because we if you look at South American teams back in the 80s, it was just as bad. And then when the game got popular and televised, their act got cleaned up really, really quickly because FIFA was not going to allow that to happen. And listen, some of these African countries are insanely talented. The Morocco team themselves made an amazing run in the last World Cup. Senegal is a very, very, very good team. We don't want to see this on the national stage because it negates how talented these teams are.
And that doesn't even get into the whole issue our country is having with our World Cup. We'll get to that never. If we have to. Let's end the show on some light and some great news. Shout out to Pops for breaking it for us. Carlos Beltran, Andrew Jones make the Baseball Hall of Fame. Andrew Jones, it's about damn time. Number one, I know he only got snubbed a couple of years. I don't care. Too many years, too long. Led the league in WAR, or was top 3, or led the league in WAR throughout his basically a 10-year span. Was the best defensive center fielder in baseball for multiple years. Best defensive outfielder in baseball for many years, and an absolute great leadoff and a great hitter. too. So a part of some good Atlanta Braves teams as well. Much deserved. Carlos Beltran, man, one of the most feared hitters in his time throughout his entire career. Much deserved. Happy on that one. Anything?
Omar Vizquel robbed again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We can pass on.
If you had anything else, if you had anything else, I was going right back to that. Now that we have righted that Andrew Jones wrong, we need to right this Omar Vizquel wrong.
Also, Andrew's misspelled. It should have a U.
It's okay. The greatest, the greatest defensive shortstop of all time, or the second best, deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. We'll save that for the summer.
I just said it once. You went on the tangent.
I'll do it. I still have the TikTok saved that I'm creating for it. So it's the template's still there. I just haven't added enough stuff to it. That'll do it. A nice quick one for us on a Tuesday. We'll be back Thursday. Thursday, we are talking college hoops, men's and women's. So I'll prepare your Hannah Hidalgo. No, we are not talking Australian Open. Is my guy?
We're not that desperate for content.
Is my Greek guy in it? The only tennis player I know. Zerko, I don't know the angry dude who's always mad. My Greek guy. That's the only tennis player I know now that the Williams sisters are retired. That'll do it for us. Thursday, men and women's college hoops. Get your Hannah Hidalgo meter ready because I'm going to test it. We're going to talk about NBA. I'm going to update my standings. We'll talk about our dismal Cavaliers. And then we will preview conference championship week. Appreciate all of you. Ray, shout out to you, my dog. Pops, thank you as well. We love you. Mom, all the Marzinskis, my boy Six, Caitlin, everybody who's been in the chat. I appreciate all y'all and everybody else watching. Daniel, for your comments and for your support and getting the show out everywhere. Drew, love you, Mom. Final shout outs.
Yeah, listen, thank you everyone watching, listening, liking, commenting, however you support the show. Actually, should we talk about the future of the next couple?
Yeah, we can. This is probably going to be the last week that we do two shows. Mm-hmm. Me and Drew are going to discuss. It's probably going to stay towards Thursday. That's what we're leaning on. But my man here put together a calendar, a spreadsheet, because he's the spreadsheet master of some sporting events and some dates. So Drew, I'm with you. We'll take this thing down to one.
No, absolutely. I think obviously, our big season is nearing the end with college football and professional football. But that doesn't mean there isn't sports to talk about. Give me 3 weeks. Pitchers and catchers will be reporting for baseball, so we will have baseball back very soon. The NBA and college basketball are back. Soccer is always running, so that's not a problem there. And so we're going to have a lot to talk about. Just not as much, but we're still going to have a lot to talk about. And so don't worry, we're not going anywhere for at least 5 months. We're going to be all right, full of content. So we're all good.
Shout out to Rapids linebacker Mike Marshall, too. Good luck still in your continued recovery. Mike's on his way back, too. Shout out to Six. Shout out to everybody else. I couldn't have said it any better than my brother did. Still more sports to talk about, and we'll be bringing it to you live here on the Straub Bro Sports Show. For Little Bro, I am Big Bro signing off. We'll talk to you Thursday, and as always, love yours.
Ken's got fire and a wild hot take. Andrew's stats make the whole place shake. Laughing loud when your team goes down. Straub boys run this sports town. STRAUB, 2 loud mouths and a love for the league. From Cleveland roots to the world we go. This is the Straub Bro Sports Show. This is the Straub Bro Sports Show. Sundays, Mondays, we live for the fight. College game day and Thursday night. Rivals fall and the banter flies. We bleed our teams till the day we die.